Chapter 5 Morphology of flowering plants. 5.4 The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets converted into a flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescences are defined, racemose and cymose. In racemose type of inflorescences, the main axis continues to grow, the flowers are borne laterally in unequivocal succession. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetal order. 5.5 The flower. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperms. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has 4 different kinds of whorls arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel, called alamus or receptacle. These are Calyx, Corolla, Androecium and Gynoecium. Calyx and Corolla are accessory organs, while Androecium and Gynoecium are reproductive organs. In some flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth. When a flower has both Androecium and Gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower having either only stamens or only carpels is unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic, radial symmetry, or zygomorphic, bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into 2 equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. For example, mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into 2 similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. For example, pea, gulmohar, bean, casa. A flower is asymmetric, irregular, if it cannot be divided into 2 similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4 or 5, respectively. Flowers with bracts reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel are called bracteate and those without bracts, abracteate. Based on the position of calyx, corolla and androecium in respect of the ovary on the alamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. In the hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flowers is said to be superior, for example, mustard, China rose and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary here is said to be half inferior, for example, plum, rose, peach. In epigynous flowers, the margin of the thalamus grows upward enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of flower rise above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior as in flowers of guava and cucumber, and the ray florets of sunflower. 5.5.1 Parts of a flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral whorls, viz., calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. 5.5.1.1 Calyx. The calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamispalous, sepals united, or polysepalous, sepals free. 5.5.1.2 Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insects for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may be also united gamipetalous, petals united, or polypetalous, petals free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, bell-shaped, funnel-shaped or wheel-shaped. Estivation. The mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorl is known as estivation. The main types of estivation are valvate, twisted, imbricate and vexillary. When sepals or petals in the whorl just touch one another at the margin, without overlapping, as in calotropes, it is said to be valvate. If one margin of the appendage overlaps that of the next one and so on, as in China rose, lady's finger and cotton, it is called twisted. If the margins of sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction, as in Casa and Gulmohar, the aestivation is called imbricate. In pea and bean flowers, there are 5 petals. The largest, standard, overlaps the 2 lateral petals, wings, which in turn overlap the 2 smallest anterior petals, keel. This type of aestivation is known as vexillary or papilionaceous. 5.5.1.3 Androecium. Androecium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represents the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has 2 chambers, the pollen sacs. The pollen grains are produced in pollen sacs. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Stamens of flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous as in brinjal, or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth as in the flowers of lily. The stamens in a flower may either remain free, polyandrous, or may be united in varying degrees. The stamens may be united into one bunch or one bundle, monodelphous, as in China rose, or 2 bundles, diadelphous, as in pea, or into more than 2 bundles, polyadelphous, as in citrus. There may be a variation in the length of filaments within a flower, as in salvia and mustard. 5.5.1.4 Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of 1 or more carpels. A carpel consists of 3 parts, namely stigma, style and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part, on which lies the elongated tube, the style. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is the receptive surface for pollen grains. Each ovary bears 1 or more ovules attached to a flattened, cushion-like placenta. When more than 1 carpel is present, they may be free, as in lotus and rose, and are called apocarpous. They are termed syncarpous when carpels are fused, as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovary matures into a fruit. Placentation, the arrangement of ovules within the ovary, is known as placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely, marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central and free central. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary and the ovules are borne on this ridge, forming 2 rows, as in pea. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial, as in China rose, tomato and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on peripheral part. Ovary is 1-chambered but it becomes 2-chambered due to the formation of the false septum, for example, mustard and argemone. When the ovules are borne on central axis and septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, the placentation is called free central. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in sunflower, marigold,